Hello, my beautiful family. It is I, Dr. Shonna, and we are back with yet again another awesome conversation. I'm so glad to see both my YouTube and Facebook community joining this conversation. As you guys are coming in, I'm going to go ahead and start the housekeeping just for today. So, as always, if you are new to the channel, I ask that you guys kindly hit the like button. Kindly hit subscribe and subscribe to the channel. There's going to be a little bell on YouTube. Hit that bell, select all, so you can be notified whenever I go live or whenever I post a video. If you are active in the community, you already know what to do. Engage in the audience, leave a comment, hit the likes up. Facebook, give me thumbs up, likes up, whatever the case you do on Facebook, YouTube, you know what it already is. If you're in a Facebook community, go ahead and hit the like to the page as well as follow the page so you can be notified when I go live as well. This is going to be a conversation today. This is going to be a conversation with a lot of meaning. And I don't want y'all to get in your bag. We are all entitled to our opinion. Please be free to leave your opinions. Just don't start attacking people. Don't start making it personal. Don't start fighting with each other because we're supposed to be getting out of that stage. You can go ahead and leave your opinion. To my moderators on YouTube, you already know what to do. If someone is being outright nasty, rude, mean, disrespectful, then you know what we do. We just simply block them. We don't need that kind of energy in our life. On Facebook, you guys already know I get around to you all, and I'm the queen of blocking and removing people. I know every now and then this channel likes to get visitors from the other persuasion, and that is okay, just as long as you are respectful. We don't go over to your spaces to violate your spaces or to join in your conversations. If we go over there, we're just trying to learn something. So oftentimes we're quiet. We ask that you do the same thing in our house. So when you come over to our house, it's fine to be a part of the conversation if you really want to engage in a conversation and learn. But if you're going to be an asshole, you're going to be removed. Now, for those of the other persuasion, if you're not an asshole, you are more than likely to stay here on our channel. Just listen and learn a thing or two. Was that good, guys? Did I do that well? Let me know. Let me know if I did that well. Oh my God, my whole family's coming through. How you guys doing in the chat? We have our members in the chat. We have NZMEUC2. We have Here for Truth. Yes, I love every last one of you guys. I don't see my brother Sid on, but this video is dedicated to Sid today. We have the Enlightened Kid up in the chat room. We have Gwendolyn, aka Unique Lady G Bard. These are all our community members on YouTube. They're part of our community. Then we have our Facebook members coming through. Carmen Graham. We have Dean Davis. I love every last one of you guys. And we have Yusuf Green on YouTube as well. Listen, let's not waste any more time because I want to tell you guys what this is about. So I know you see right here in the bottom of my screen, it says selling to the Negro was genius. It was genius. And I know some of y'all are going to be all up in your feelings. Ooh, because I know some of y'all, you know, your Shea Butter crew, and we have all the I'm blackity black and I'm black crew. You know, y'all start to get in your bag and y'all start to, you know, get sort of stuck in the past, like nostalgic thinking. You guys are always like, oh, we had this, we had that, we were doing all of this so good. And like everyone just feels these things because it makes them feel good. And then they get mad when they see certain things that come across our feed on Twitter, come across our feed on Instagram or Facebook, YouTube. We get mad and we automatically assume this is why these crackers, they try to do X, Y, and Z to us. You know, we got to get our own. We got to build our own. And so, yes, I'm making fun. And not that I don't think that these things are true, because I think that the statements are true. Sometimes I think some of the statements are not analytical, right? And they're not critical in thought. But that's another conversation. I think these things are true. But what I realize in our community is that we are so reactive to everything, and everything we see we're like, oh, that's racist, separate from these devils right now, kid, right now. We get like all serious about this. And yeah, we have some truth. We have to start to differentiate ourselves. We know we have to start to separate. We understand these things. We understand the power of that. I understand the power of it. I preach that and promote that all the time. But at the same time, family, come on, can we be honest? Can I be honest tonight? But at the same time, family, let's not get in our feelings. Some of us are just so reactive. We're so reactive and we don't really take the time or the initiative to do the deep digging. We don't really research things and go beyond the scene. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that, but we're going to sit back. Somebody said that impression is crazy. Oh, Tan Gans, we're just having fun. Just laugh a little bit. I don't recognize your name, Tan. I don't know if you watch me or not, but I have a sense of humor. So just laugh a little bit, Tan. Don't get all up in your bag. But anyways, I was saying, let me first tell you guys why I decided to do this video before I share with you guys the video for today's lesson. Oh, there go my trap phone. Hopefully it stops ringing. I hope it doesn't bother you guys because I don't want to stand up and stop it. And it's all the way over there on the other side of my room. So he'll stop calling in a moment and then he'll just start texting. Men, they're so predictable. But anyway, let me tell you why I did this video today. So today I was driving to Newark, New Jersey to get some items from one of my stores. And something in my spirit said, you know, Shonna, I want you to log on to your church's sermon and listen to the message for today. Now, many of you guys who have been following me for a while, you know that I left the church, right? I left the church. I still love my church family. You know, it's we there, but you know, we're not there, right? So I left the church. But every now and then I check in to see how my family's doing. So today I went on, boop, and I was listening to my pastor. And my pastor's message shifted. See, now I haven't been in church in a while, but you know, a lot of people left the church. And so my pastor message for me today shifted. And I was like, ain't this some SHIT? I'm trying not to curse today. I said, ain't this some SHIT? This is what I've been saying for a long time. His message was about Moses, the story of Moses, and how they were left to be in the wilderness, the old people. I know the boomers are going to be mad at me today, but please don't be mad at me today. Don't be mad at me, boomers. I'm not going to beat up on the boomers today. But my pastor, who is a boomer, right? He was having a conversation about how God had made a decision for the boomers. We're going to call them the baby boomers, right? God had made a decision for the baby boomers to be stuck in the wilderness because they weren't learning their lesson. They weren't getting what the freak they were supposed to get in order for them to cross over into the promised land. So God had made a decision for the generation Xers and the millennials. You know, I have to put today's time on the story to lead the next generation of people forward. This is what my pastor was talking about. And he happened to say that we have to understand that in these days, times are changing rapidly and young people are tired. The church is not what the church used to be. The church used to be a place of refuge for Black people. The church was a place of political sounding for Black people. It was for protection. It was for building a Black community. It was for so many things. And now the church has come onto like a community of themselves and they somewhat excluded themselves from everybody else. They're sort of operating in a silo. And he was saying that the younger generations, they're not for that. Their mindset has changed. They have shifted and developed, and they're going to take the next generation forward in their own way. And the older people, the baby boomers, have to be able to accept that. So I was like, whoa, this reminds me of that video that's floating around once again, which is a very old video from the 50s, and it's called the secret of selling to the Negro. Now I'm going to play some of that video for you guys, right? The secret to selling to the Negro. And my boy, I'm waiting for him to come on. One of my friends, his name is Sid. He usually is on this channel. He sent me this message and he was like, well, you look at this, sis. And so I already was very familiar with this video. And I hit him back and I said, yeah, this is nothing new. This is actually created by John Johnson. We're going to talk about this, y'all. And so I forgot what he said in the text, but he was like, you're going to have to explore this for our community. I said, no problem. I'm going to explore it. It's not going to be from the mindset of what many of the people in the community have, because I see their comments. They're mad. They're upset. They're calling it Willie Lynch syndrome and all types of things. But they don't realize that a baby boomer was the brain behind that commercial. Let me say that a different way, just in case some people didn't catch it. They don't realize that a Black baby boomer, a Negro baby boomer, was the brain behind that advertisement, right? So let me go ahead and bring that advertisement up because I want to play that for a little bit, and then we're going to go ahead and get into today's discussion. So where's this video? I'm going to play different portions of it, so you guys just have to be patient with me as I play some, pause it, going forward to another one, and then we're going to have our conversation. Is that okay with you guys, family? Is that okay with y'all? Are y'all ready? Are y'all ready to really get the feedback? Go ahead and get your pen and paper and take some notes because we're going to have a conversation. I love having conversations with my family. You guys are so special to me. Okay. Got the video. Let's go.
Hello, I'm Bob Trout. I've got a story here that I think is big, really big, because it's bound to have a terrific impact on business. I'm talking about a new market, a big new market, millions upon millions of new prospects with $15 billion to spend. That's right, I said $15 billion. That's a lot of money, isn't it? The surprising thing is that it's a fresh market, still full of opportunities. It grew up so fast, got so big in a hurry, that few of us realized its scope. Now these days, nobody's likely to pass up chances to sell. And yet right here in our own front yard, there's a neglected market. There's money waiting to be spent. To get the story of this market, to be able to tell you the secret of selling the Negro, we did a lot of digging. We talked to leading businessmen, the customers, and the salesmen. We went to Washington, D.C. We set up cameras and other key points around the nation. And out of this all, there emerged a story, the story of a new market. Yes, this is the market we're talking about, the new Negro family. Their name is Wells or Wilson, Smith or Brown or Alexander or Green. They live in Chicago, in Atlanta or New York, in Detroit, St. Louis, Los Angeles, any one of 1,000 cities and towns. All over the country, families such as this are enjoying new prosperity. They have new interests, new standards of living, a buying power they've never enjoyed before. They're good prospects for practically all types of goods and services. All too often, though, they're overlooked prospects. Why? Because of some good, valid reason? No. They're overlooked because of mistaken ideas, because of out-of-date ideas about how the Negro lives and how he buys. The truth of the matter is that the Negro lives pretty much the same as other folks. He buys pretty much the same way, too. But just the same, a lot of old doubts and opinions keep cropping up over and over again.
I don't like to do business with Negroes. They're drifters. You can't keep track of them.
Yes, although a lot of people think that way, the truth is that 1 out of every 3 Negro families living in cities today owns its own home. That figure comes directly from the United States Bureau of Census.
Maybe so, but Negroes are poor credit risk.
Not more of a credit risk than any other group. Actually, the Negro homebuyer meets his payments faithfully, often more faithfully than other race groups in the same economic level. That's the information we got from people who ought to know, the National Association of Real Estate Boards.
Well, maybe, but I've always heard that Negroes buy shoddy, poor quality merchandise.
No, it's just the other way around. According to leading researchers, in proportion to population and income, Negroes buy more quality products than any other comparable United States group. You see, there are a lot of confused notions about the Negro customer. But when you dig right down and find out about them, they just don't hold water.
Okay, let's stop for just a moment. We're going to go back to the video, but let's just stop for just a moment. Somebody said, Lord Jesus, I'm just listening to this, never saw this before. So then, Luther, you're in for a treat. So let me just stop for just a moment before I go into the other part that I really want you guys to hear. Because this video, many people assume it was done by white people. And many people assume that it was a way of exploiting the Black community and extracting dollars from us. And so people get in their feelings and they get so upset about this video that has been out for a long time. But this video was, in fact check me on this, created by John H. Johnson. Do y'all know who Mr. Johnson is? I know some of you guys do because some of us are, enlightened folks and other people are learning, and there's nothing wrong with that. But do you all know who John Johnson is? Right? Well, it's okay. I'll let you guys know who John Johnson is. John Johnson is the creator of Ebony Magazine. He is the creator of Jet Magazine. He owned another magazine that was before Ebony Magazine. I think it was called, you know what? I have the name on my phone. I know I do. He owned another magazine. That was his first magazine. And it was called Negro Digest. And that was in 1942 when he had Negro Digest. He also owned Fashion Fair Cosmetics, which was the largest Black cosmetic company back in those days, Supreme Beauty Products, and he also produced television specials. This man, a Black man married to a Black woman, was wealthy. He was a Black capitalist, very successful at what he did. And he produced this film that I'm sharing with you guys after World War II. Now, if you are familiar with the state of Black Americans in America after World War II, then you will understand how we were left out of a lot of entitlements. You know what? Let me use a different word. I'm going to use a different word from entitlements because, white people tend, not all, but some white people tend to think that Black people are welfare recipients. Anything that's from the government, we always want a handout. Well, they don't realize that their wealth came up because of entitlements, especially during a time like after World War II. There were so many entitlements that came about that were only afforded to white people, and Black people were left out of it, including if they were veterans of war. They were left out of these entitlements, or should I say welfare programs, affirmative action programs. That's what it was. They were left out. And so Mr. Johnson's message that he was trying to deliver to the world was of two main points. Of course, he had other points in there. People can argue that there were so many other points, and they will not be wrong. But there are two main points that I'm going to point out from the message that he was trying to deliver in this video. Now, some of you guys seen small clips of this video, but this video is 21 minutes. And if you watch the whole thing, you'll be able to uncover much of what I'm going to talk about. But the message was really about respectability. What he wanted was white America to recognize the Blacks as striving and successful, indicating that Blacks had good credit, they had income, they had ownership, they were doing things, and that needs to be acknowledged. The second point that he was making in this video, or trying to get across in this video that I want to share with you guys, the second point is that Blacks have separate needs and preferences that are different than whites. And so he wanted Black people to be entitled to buy the stuff that they want to, and their desires from the way they like their things. And so what we came to realize out of this video is that he had an underlying strategy in which he was trying to implement for his benefit and the benefit of Black capitalists for the most part. That's just my opinion. We can argue against this. We can agree, we can disagree, doesn't matter, but that's my opinion. Let me show you through the video, the other half, what I'm talking about. So when I make my second point, you know exactly where I'm coming from. So that is really clear. But in the meantime, while I'm doing that, I want you guys to really sit down and think about that for a second. Think about what it means to have this Black capitalist John Johnson, may he rest in peace. I believe he expired in 2005. About our transition, that's what our Hotep community say, right? And you know, you know what I mean. I suspect he transitioned in 2005, if I'm not mistaken, or somewhere around that. And I think his wife and his daughter are still alive, and they're running the company. But here's what I want to say. I want you guys, as I bring up the second half that I want to show you guys, I want you all to sit back and I want you to examine critically, what did this mean? Was this a good thing that he did this? Was this a bad thing? Was it another way to exploit the Black community? Whatever your feelings are, you don't have to worry about somebody agreeing or disagreeing with you. If you want to write it in the chat, that's cool. But I want your mind to really start to think about why this video was done, and think about if it makes sense. Think about if it helped us, if it hurt us, or does it not have an impact. I just want you guys to really start positioning your thoughts in a critical way so we can fully examine this as part of this video. So Sid is saying, doing family time, I'll catch the replay. I just wanted to give you a shout out. Thank you for that, Sid. I'm glad you are here. I shouted you out earlier today. So go ahead with the family. Tell your wife I said hi, and I'll speak to you later. So here, family, I'm going to go ahead and share the second half of this. Give me a second.
Over. Here is what sales psychologists have to say about selling to the Negro.
The secret of selling to the Negro is expressed in one word. That word is recognition. Now, there's nothing unusual about that. People want to be recognized. They need recognition. That's basic in all of us. But perhaps because he's had so little of it, the Negro needs even more. He needs to feel important and appreciated. This need is a very real and important one. It shows up even in many of the Negro's shopping habits. Anyone who sells or wants to sell to the Negro customer should know about some of these habits. 3 habits in particular play a big part in every sales transaction. To begin with, most Negroes buy by brand. They ask for products by name. They're quick to turn down off brands. Do you wonder why? Well, listen to what this customer is thinking.
That last hat I bought just didn't hold up at all.
You see, for a long time, the Negro has been sold a lot of shoddy, second-class merchandise. So now he asks for name brands in order to make sure he gets his money's worth. Buying by brand, that's the first important Negro buying habit. He'll probably react something like this.
Doesn't he think I've got the money to pay for it?
There's a reason for this reaction. Again, because he's had experience with cheap merchandise, the Negro resents being offered a substitute. He wants to be sold on quality, not price. The Negro buys by brand, he buys quality, and he doesn't like to be switched at point of sale. These are the keys to selling the Negro customer. Another point. The Negro family does things together, as a group. The family works as a unit. It lives as a unit, and it buys as a unit. When you sell to one member, you many times sell to all. It's also true that many places of entertainment are still closed to the Negro. So he spends more of his money for the things that are available to him, often for items that are considered luxuries. Another trait of the Negro market is the fact that it is a pre-sold market. We know that the Negro buys by brand, and he buys the brands that he knows something about. Where does the Negro buyer get this information? We know that Negro customers are turning more and more to the publications that are tailored specifically to their needs, that give them the news and the information that they want to read about. Many leading businessmen and companies already know this. That's why so many of them are taking this direct, sure route of reaching the Negro customer. The vice president of advertising of the Drew & Watch Company, for example, says this.
In many important cities throughout the United States, Negroes are important customers of the credit union. Therefore, it seemed that Ebony magazine would be a very important advertising medium for us. We would say it was very well received, and from our viewpoint, a very successful campaign.
From the Remington Rand Company comes this statement.
Our records show that advertising in Ebony has been effective in many ways. As all good advertising should, it has built a terrific amount of goodwill and has brought a volume of sales and sales inquiries.
Okay, family. That's all of the video I want to show y'all today before we get into today's conversation. But do you see it? Do you see it, family? I hope you're seeing it. I mean, come on. So let's talk about the era that this film was made. Now, like I said, if we're looking at this film with a current day mindset and we're getting angry, that's because we're failing to do the research of when things were created in the state that it was created, in the era that it was created. This was created in the 40s. We already know the state of in the 50s. We already know the state of Black Americans in this country during Reconstruction era. We already know how it was for us during segregation, Jim Crow area. We already know how it was for us in the 70s, the 80s, the 90s. We already know the state that we were in. So when this film was produced back in the 50s, we're talking about a time when we're fighting for to be respected. We're fighting for civil rights. We're fighting to be seen. We're fighting to dismantle this segregation. We want us to be known for what we bring to the table. So they were not selling quality products to Blacks during this time. They could not go into certain communities, certain stores. They could not buy certain things at this time. And this guy came with this idea that was extremely effective. Not only was it effective for the 50s when he came out with this, but it's still effective to this day. Now, I'm not saying there aren't negative effects, because we clearly see my list, because I want you to write this down, because we're going to clearly go over the negative effects that it had. Clearly, I'm going to squeeze in Mental Health Fridays with the Addressing the Black Community Sundays. We're going to squeeze it all in today, because I wasn't on Friday doing things I probably should not be doing, but I was. But here it is. We're going to talk about this. So we know it had a negative effect. But during that time, what he did, what this film did, what John Johnson did, was to convince white companies to move their ads and their marketing into Johnson's publications. So was it a self-centered, selfish move? Absolutely, it was a self-centered, selfish move. But was it a move that also helped the Black community? Maybe not everybody in the Black community, because unfortunately, let's just tell the truth. I know we all like to think that we all kumbaya and we all love each other. We're all one, right? But we're not. We're not a monolithic community, and we're also not a community that everyone looks out for each other. We should be that way, but we're not. We got to be honest with that. I see a lot of people floating around stuff that makes it seem like we're all kumbaya and we all get along, and it's not. They're talking about, oh, this tribalism has to stop. Tribalism has been there for centuries. It's still there. It's going to be there, and even during this era, it was there. So these ads didn't help all of Black people, but the people who were focused in that area, like Black capitalists, Black elite, Black boule, those kind of people, it helped them. It helped celebrities. It helped entertainers. It helped athletes. It helped them greatly to move into markets. And to be honest with you all, in current day, it's still helping a lot of us. A lot of us are not taking advantage of the opportunities. We're going to talk about that later, but it is helping a lot of us to this day. But let me tell you what else it did. What John Johnson created with this film, he also shifted the target market from whites to Blacks. He did. He wanted advertisers not only to sponsor spots in his publications, right? But he also wanted advertisers to sell to the Black community so we can have an opportunity to have quality products and quality services, allegedly. right? And he also made other Black capitalists noticeable across all demographics, not just in our community. So it opened up a lot of doors for people, and it also closed a lot of doors on people too, right? And that's like what really happens is like if you have an idea, it's going to help some people and then it's going to hurt some people. And unfortunately, in this case, it had long-term damaging effects on our community, in my opinion. In my opinion. Now, let me talk about what I mean when I say that. It brings me back to a conversation that I've had with plenty of Black people. And plenty of Black people have made comments that I personally know, or may have said that I was too strict on my kids, or they felt that my kids dressed like white people. And so obviously when they say things like that, they don't have critical thought process. So I really ignore people like that because I'm going to get into why I ignore people like that. But the point is they would say comments like that. And when I would explore why you feel that my child just is like a white person, that's what he wanted to wear. That's what she wanted to wear. I don't care what they wear. They would say because my children didn't wear $200 sneakers. My children didn't have $300 coats. My children didn't have name brand jeans and all other things. We had what was on sale. We didn't put our money and emphasis in those things. And my children live a pretty decent life. But they just didn't dress like that. My children would wear pajamas to school and call it a day because all the other kids in the neighborhood would do that as well. But it was Black people that felt I should spend a little bit more on my children, and how I'm acting like I don't have it to buy them. Or whenever we would go shopping as a collective, I would say to, let's say, for example, my son, real story. I would say, you already know what your budget is. You got $250, make it work. So if you want to take that $250 and buy a pair of sneakers, that's all you're going to have. This is your school shopping money. You make it work. And my children know how to go and find sales and find the things that they want. And they will bring back multiple items, including sneakers, because they had a budget, and I've been teaching them how to budget since they was very small. But here's the problem that I have, that I feel that this video had an impact on a lot of the Black community, because a lot of us, we like to keep up with the Joneses, and we want to have what everyone else has. And we want to buy what everyone else is buying. And we want to dress fashionable because it sends a message that says, I got the money too. I got the class as well. I'm educated. I'm doing well. We good. We got it. We're not like everybody else. And that, my family, is called conspicuous consumption. Is when you're making purchases so that the message you communicate to others who are watching you is that you got it. And our community, we love conspicuous consumption. We always want to show off. And I'm not saying no other community does this, because I'm sick and tired of the Negroes that come in here and will say, well, Dr. Shonna, Italians do it too. We're not talking about Italians. On Black media, we talk about Black issues and Black problems. That's what we're talking about. I don't care what everyone else is doing. I know when you want to come and try to use shame, right? Where is it? Right here. Try to use shame to try to get me to spend more money on clothes for my kids. That has nothing to do with me. That has to do with your own mental health. And that's what this has started for our community. Conspicuous consumption that brings about shame. It brings about guilt, despair, and distress. Let's get into what shame is. Okay? Shame is when one feels that social norms are being violated. So what is the social norm? The social norm in this day, we talking about current day. We're not talking about nostalgic times. We're not going to look at the 1954s. We're going to talk about what's happening right now, because we still see conspicuous consumption in our community in current day. Black people, our community, have $1 trillion spending power. We spend so much money every year on ridiculousness. Every year. right? And it comes from feelings of shame, meaning we're not meeting the social norm. And whose social norm are we talking about? It's like Lauryn Hill said, they made us love their wealth and hate ourselves, right? When you have all this marketing and all this advertising, when everyone's living the high life and the fast life and the bling bling life, all of a sudden we all want to move toward that. We all want to be in that position, in that condition. And when we're not in that position or condition, we feel shame. We feel like we're not living up to the standard of other people. We're not doing what other people are doing. We're not going where other people are going. We don't have what other people have. All those feelings get directed inward onto us. And we start to view ourselves in a negative light when we don't show up like everybody else. Right? And those kind of things, that kind of mindset can bring about low self-esteem and depression. And so we see that quite often in our community. And why do you think they use Black celebrities, Black athletes, Black entertainers to sponsor jewelry, clothes, food, drinks, liquor, cigarettes, you name it? And they do it in such a way where, you know, you're flashy. All the people are flashy. And everybody now want to be all flashy. Nobody wants to be regular. Everybody wants to be flashy. And when you're not able to meet that standard, a lot of people have shame. They have a lot of comparison going on that steals their joy. They're looking at what everybody else is doing. They want to keep up with the Joneses. That's why you see people who live in impoverished neighborhoods and their car costs more than their rent costs for the year. Got people in government housing are receiving government subsidies when their rent is $1.25. And yes, I'm being facetious, $1.25, but they're driving a $75,000 car. That's a problem. It's problematic because they're trying to keep up with the Joneses. They want to have the appearance that they're doing well and don't have any investments, don't have any money saved up in a bank. They can't even spend money on their rent for 6 months from savings if they were to lose their jobs. The second thing that it does, you see, says number two, guilt. The second thing that it does, and I hear this so often in our community, when people come to me and they want me to help them strategize on how to get their little tyrants under control, their children. Yes, I'm being facetious today. Their children, their little tyrants. And you turn around and their little tyrants have $400 machines in their hands, video games, handheld video games. They got $800 machines in their hands, iPhones, right? iPhones, droids. I've seen a little tyrant with the Canada Goose jacket on. Jacket costs $1,095. A little tyrant. We got other little tyrants wearing Gucci belts. Little tyrants running around with Montclair vests and Montclair jackets. Little tyrants. And the parents are going crazy. And when I ask, why do you spend this much money on these little tyrants? And I don't call them tyrants, right? You know, I don't talk like that when I'm counseling people. But, you know, for you guys, y'all love me. I'm going to talk like that here. When I say, why do you spend that much money on little tyrants? You know what they say? You know, Doc, when I was growing up, I didn't have much of anything. Guilt. I didn't have much of anything. You know, I try my best. I want to give my children the life I never had. My mother wasn't able to buy us name brand sneakers. My mother wasn't able to take us nice places. We never went on vacation. We had no frills food. We weren't able to go out to dinner. I want to do these things for my kids, but the little tyrants don't deserve it. And it's because of guilt. Guilt causes them to participate in conspicuous consumption. Because we already know they're trying to keep it with the Joneses. We already know they got shame. And we already know they're dealing with guilt. And so guilt is said that it helps us to create our mistakes and our future wrongdoings, right? So in this case, maybe it's not our mistakes, but it's the mistakes of our parents, because some of us are growing up with the mindset that our parents didn't spend money the right way and we didn't have nice things. And that's why we grew up like this. So we're trying to fix the errors of our parents by providing a better life, a more lavish life. And how we're stating we're buying a better or having a better life for our children is based on the products that we buy them, or the services that we afford to them, so that they can be more cultured and do more things that we never did. And see, I'm not saying that all of this is bad, but I gotta have you guys understand that when we're operating from a place of guilt, and this is the reason why we're making these purchases, then it is bad. Let me tell you when it's not guilt. Let me tell you when it's not guilt. So my oldest son has a tutor, a math tutor that comes into the home. My son told me he wants to go to school for engineering. And I shared this with you guys for many times over, that y'all already know I made a promise to my children to get them out of college debt free with no loans. And I got one down, two more to go. And only through the grace of God, I'm going to be able to do that for the next two as well. But the only way I pay for their college is if they take STEM classes: science, technology, engineering, and math. I already made this very known to the community. I have no shame in saying so, and the community cannot shame me. Community has always tried to shame me. Well, your children should be able to do whatever they want to do. If they want to be a dancer and go to school for arts, you should let them go to school for arts. Save it. Not my children. You can go to school for arts on your money, not mine. So he wants to be an engineer. So I invest in a tutor to come to the home, right? To provide a service for him to strengthen his math skills. He's already good, but sometimes he gets, a little bit nervous, and they know they can't bring anything less than an 80 in his house. So in order for him to keep that standard up there, he's got to perform well. So he has a tutor, because if I have this standard for him, don't bring nothing less than an 80 in his house, then I'm going to make sure I give him all the resources and tools to be able to meet that standard. I'm not going to say, here's the standard and I ain't going to help you, right? So I'm going to give him the tools to do that. But that's not guilt spending. That's not trying to keep up with the Joneses. That's an investment. That's an investment so that they can properly be able to compete in this world. That's an investment. Here's what's not an investment. Let me say what's not an investment. If he's failing or bringing in grades that do not meet my standard, but yet he still enjoys a lavish social life. You get to go places, do things. You got your stupid little video game system that costs way too much money. And granted, he bought it himself. I'll give him that from working. I'll give that to him, bought his game system himself. But you don't get to do certain things when you're not performing. Whatever happened to those times where we're not trying to keep up with the Joneses, but we're actually parenting, and we're actually putting standards in place, and we have expectations set up to reasonable degrees, and we have boundaries put in place, and we have the resources to support our children, whether it is sending them to after school programs that can help give them tutoring, whether tutors are coming into your home or whatever, you're sending them to coaches, whatever the case is. Whatever happened to investing in our children so that they can live a better life, as opposed to us carrying guilt and trying to shield them from the life that we had by covering up with a whole bunch of expensive products and services? Whatever happened to those days? Our community is operating off of guilt. We want to be like everybody else. We want our children to be like everybody else's kids. And when you have guilt, what's associated with that are feelings of tension and feelings of regret. And so when you are not able to do it for your children, you start to feel bad. You start to have some regret. When you're not able to do it for your little tyrants and they get mad, they start to treat you some kind of way. And then you feel guilty even more. Now, I'm not saying this happens to all of us, but we can't sit up here and deny that many people go through this. Some of you guys right here on this feed go through this, right? This is what happens. And when they come into my office and they're stressed out about their relationship with their children, when I peel back the layers of the onion, more often than not, I notice that they have been parenting out of guilt. And so when I offer them a product that I sell, obviously, but when you're a client with me, you get it for free. And I offer them the parent report card. And I tell them that I want them to go home and give their little tyrants the parents report card and bring it back. We're going to talk about the grades. Do you know how many of them don't do the assignment? Do you know how many of them avoid that assignment? And when we process why they're avoiding it, they say, because I really don't want to know how my son or how my daughter is going to grade me. Because when they read what I have on the report card as the areas in which I'm assessing to see the strength in communication, to see the strength in affection and love, to see the strength in listening, hearing your children out, and to see the strength in allowing your children to make effective decisions or critical decisions in their life, to see the strength on those areas, those soft areas that they avoid. They don't want to give the report card because they know that they are failing in that area. Because they're operating out of guilt. And what guilt does, family, guilt is like this consciousness. It's like this thought that helps us through bad boundaries. It's not a positive thing, but it helps us to maintain our relationships with others, including our children. So we do certain things because we don't want to be disliked. We do certain things because we don't want people to be mad at us. We do certain things so that we can look good. I don't need to look good as your parent. I don't need to look good as your parent. I don't need your approval in those areas as your parent. I'm not your friend. I'm not going to cry if you don't like my discipline tactics. As long as you are healthy and I'm not abusing you, I'm not going to get mad because you didn't get to go down the shore for senior graduation. I don't care if you cry and you mad. I'm not going to send you there so you could do all types of things because you want to fit in with everybody else. Right? Another thing that this conspicuous consumption does is it goes into the area of despair, setting up despair in our community. That is, despair is intense feelings of hopelessness. We run into people in our community all the time when they're struggling and they're stressed out financially. And we try to give them some strategies to help them the best way we know how, but they feel hopeless. They feel like no matter what they do, they're never going to have what everyone else has, as opposed to starting where they're at. They don't want to make small steps. They want to already be making six figures. But boo, if you never made six figures a day in your life, you got to start small to get there. But they're comparing themselves to other people. And what that does, it brings on a lot of depressed moods and depressed symptoms, right? It brings on anxious thoughts. That's what despair looks like. And the last thing we have is distress. Distress is where there's an aversive negative state that you're stuck in when you're under distress. It throws your coping mechanisms off balance, right? And it's caused by prolonged stress, prolonged economic stress, prolonged social stress, you name it. And it throws our community into despair and distress. So when they're seeing all these other people on social media, TV, everyone is living a nice life, or so it seems, people are starting to get depressed, hopeless, stressed out, anxious. Right? So what I'm saying to you is, I can see why the video was made. But I also understand the psychology behind marketing and the psychology behind advertising and the effect it can have on our psychological thought process. the effect it can have on our mind, the effect of how it can have on our self-esteem or how we see ourselves, our perception. Do you ever wonder why there aren't countless advertisements on mainstream TV or mainstream media? Countless. I'm talking about when you're flooded with seeing nothing but Asian people or Indian people as a target market. Have you ever stopped to ask yourself, why aren't we flooded with that in commercials? Why aren't we flooded with that on billboards? Why aren't we flooded with that on social media? Right? Those are some of the questions that I had to ask. So when I'm talking about the advertisement and the effects that it has on our home, we have to be aware. See, we can't keep having these kind of conversations, family, and we're not making the changes. We can't keep having these kind of discussions and we're not making the changes. I'm not going to sit here and say that all advertisement or all marketing campaigns and strategies are bad, because that won't be true. So I'm not going to sit here and say that to you all. I'm not going to sit here and say that what John Johnson did when he created the secret of selling to the Negro was bad. I'm not going to say. In fact, I think his strategy was creative and it was genius. So I'm not going to say that it was bad. I'm saying that, what if I told you there was a reasonable solution to our problem? Would you be willing to do it? Would you be willing to listen to it, to hear it out? And what if I told you the reasonable solution is not what we're hearing being thrown around every day? Not that I disagree with it, because I don't disagree with buying black. But the truth of the matter is, if we all stop buying from everyone else and we only bought black, all of our needs are not going to be met. That's just the truth of the matter, right? It's not going to be met because our market doesn't touch into every area that we use in our daily lives. The car you drive, the furniture in your house, the dishes you eat on, simple basic stuff, the sheets you sleep on. And not that we don't have some of those companies out there, but we don't have mass production. We don't have mass distribution. We don't have that. So the truth is, we're not going to get away from buying white-owned products and services. We're not going to get away from that. I don't care how fantastical your thinking is. It's not going to happen in this day and age that we are living in right now. We're not going to see it. I'm not going to say that our offspring and our descendants are never going to see it, but I'm saying we're not going to see it because it takes years to build that. It has taken 400 years to help them build their economy. So we have to understand this thing and be realistic about it. And to all the people that say your child dress white, we all dress white. Because none of us are mass marketing clothes. None of us are mass marketing sneakers, underwears, bras. So who's not dressed in white? When we say non-critical statements like that, oh, their children dressed white. Who's not dressed in white? And if anything, children like mine are more free thinkers. They dress how they want to dress, as opposed to dressing what white media has pumped millions of dollars into, creating a look, creating a fashion and an image that markets to your community and makes you buy what they think you should look like. Because how they market to white people wearing Timberlands is not how they market to black people wearing Timberlands. How they market to white people wearing Gucci is not how they market to black people wearing Gucci. So at the end of the day, everybody dressed in white because they have even created your fashion sense. I'm just saying. We say stupid stuff. Your kids dress in white. Really? So if I told you that there's a reasonable solution to our problem, that is not what we have come to talk about on a daily. And no, I do not want us to abandon buying Black products and using Black services. No, I don't want us to abandon that. We absolutely want you to increase that. But what if I told you that we can learn something from John Johnson? What if I told you that he's onto something? How he created that, and how we need to start using them the same way they use us. What if I told you we need to be strategic in the networks that we build and stop being unrealistic? Stop having so much unrealistic, non-critical thought. We think it sounds good because some people say, and they're saying it with their rough voice, and they're yelling and screaming, and they're calling people names, and we really do think that that's going to work. It's just going to work us up emotionally. It's just going to make us angry and make us frustrated, and it's going to have some of us change for a day, some of us change for a week, some of us are going to change for a year, but we're going to realize that we can't sustain it, and we're going to make slips in so many different areas and revert back to what we know because we're surviving. But what if I told you, if we critically analyze what John Johnson did, and we used his strategies and his techniques on a smaller scale, we can turn around our situation rather quickly. Because what he did was he had them pay him for his space in marketing. He had them purchase ads for his publications. He had them looking at him for his television publications. They already watch everything that we do. They're already scouting talent among us every day. The playing field has been leveled. If you're on social media and you're not using social media to build your wealth, then you're losing. You're losing. And trust me, they're in inboxes of influencers every day. They're trying to partner, and they are partnering with influencers every day. Every day. So what if we switch our mindset and we got together and we had maybe some business attorneys among us that can look at our contracts, and what if we switched up how we engage with them? Instead of being excited when they knock on our door and automatically jump for it, what if we just started saying, well, we don't mind collaborating with you for the use of our talent so that we both can be able to profit, but here's our contract instead, as opposed to constantly taking their contract. What if we turned the terms and made it on our terms? What if we collectively started to do that? We will win. We can change our situation around rather quickly. Because of videos like The Secret of Selling to the Negro, and because of the psychology of conspicuous consumption, we have been conditioned and programmed to do just the opposite. We don't recognize our position on the chessboard. We don't recognize our power, but they do. They would have never put it into our magazines. They would have never came to our celebrities, our artists, our influencers in 2021, right? Or in the 21st century, they're coming to our influencers. They would have never started to knock down our doors if they didn't see what was in it for them. As they say in the business world, if you're in my business classes, you know I teach on this with them. What's in it for me? With them. What's in it for me? That's the mindset that they have. We have to have that mindset. What's in it for us? What is in it for us? So we just changed around and shifted it. We can do some really powerful things because everybody appropriates us. Everybody looks at what we're doing. Listen, I'm going to tell you this and I'm out. I'm going to tell you this and I'm out. I was at my friend's house, and he's from Senegal. And we was watching the African channel. And I said, you know what bothers me is that some of us in America, we look at the continent as the place that we're striving to go. and we want to get back to our African roots and our ancestors' way of living. We want a community. We want to be away from white influence. We want Black spaces. And I said, but I sit here before you, and we have watched so many different channels, African channels, because that's all he watches is African channels. And everyone looks like us here in America. And he said, yes. I'm not gonna do his accent. You know, he has a really strong accent. It's cute. But anyway, he says, yes, it's true. Thank you for becoming a member, Derek. I really appreciate your support. What's going on, James? How you doing? And have a good night. He said, it's true. He said, here in America, Black Americans, you guys set the stage across the whole world. Everybody wants to be like you. I was seeing them in the videos with all types of wigs and weaves in their hair. I was seeing the men throwing up little signs on their hand, looking like they from West Side, like doing all types of ridiculous things in the video, wearing their little chains in the video. I was seeing them look all ridiculous. I'm seeing girls jump up and down. They trying to twerk their little thing, looking all ridiculous. But I'm seeing them trying to look like our videos over here. And I said, that's really disappointing for me, because so many people in Black America create this image that, you know, you go into Africa, we're free from all this colonization. And all of y'all colonized. I'm even watching the political channels, and they all look American. Then we changed to an Indian channel. I said, show me another foreign channel. Change to another foreign channel. We go to this Indian channel. I forgot the name of the music video I was watching. Accra, Kara, something about the workers. I'm going to find the video. I'm going to Kamakara, something ridiculous, right? But even the Indians, when they rap and they doing all of this and they trying to look like us and they walking doing all of this, you know, all this. I said, this is ridiculous. So I say that to say our influence reaches around the globe. Our influence is like no other. What if we took that power, continue to collaborate with them, but on our terms? What if? What if we started operating that way? Right? I think it's something that can be done, because everyone around the globe is trying to become a capitalist if they have not already done so. Everyone around the whole entire globe. So we might as well just win at this system. And since we are the system, since we're the ones that is feeding the system, we might as well just use it for our advantage. KK504 is saying we don't control the media though. But I'm not talking about controlling the media. I'm saying, what if we collaborated but on our terms? Because we're not changing it. It's not going to change. I'm saying, what if we collaborated on our terms? What if we all started using the strategy that John Johnson used in order for him to grow his legacy, in order for him to grow his empire? What if we use those same strategy to grow our legacies and our empires? That's all I'm asking. And I'm not saying that is it. I'm asking, what if? All right, family. I thank you guys so much for joining in. This was a great discussion. I hope you guys really enjoyed today, right? I hope you guys have something to think about. Think about what that video, what it was meant to do when it came out in the 1950s. Think about the era that it was produced. Think about where we were as Black people when that came out. Think about what our now ancestor, because he has transitioned. Think about what John Johnson was trying to do. Well, we already know some of what he was trying to do, but think about it long term, what he was trying to do or what he did do for our community. Just think about it for a second. right? And then think about what can we learn from those of us in our community who are successful, who has been successful, who has had riches and legacy. Let's think about what they have done and see how can we duplicate it or improve what we know works. That's all I'm saying. All I'm saying. I just wanted to have a different discussion for tonight. I just want to take the blame off of pointing fingers and start to examine how we're thinking so that we can start shifting some of our thought process, because we have been hated for 400 years. We have been mistreated for 400 years. We have been neglected for 400 years. We have been used, exploited, and abused for 400 years. We have had all of that stuff. And despite what they have had, our ancestors I'm talking about in the past, many of them were still successful. Many of them still built legacies and empire. What did they do? What did they do? And can we actually do it today? Love you all. Have a blessed night. See you all in a couple of days.